Oh, welcome in, all you Wednesday crazy kids. It is time for the live chat. Nice to be back in the studio. Nice to be back in the saddle for my favorite hour of the week. We're going to answer your questions, your concerns, your comments about this week's Rocket Mortgage Classic, or anything else that you would like to chat about. Now, we have a similar cadence to start these shows. The way that we always start is, let me try that again, is with the weather. There we go. We look to see if there are any tangible weather advantages. We've got the forecast up here for Detroit. And if you look at Thursday and Friday, both in the mid to upper 70s, Thursday's forecast, especially wind wise, is almost identical throughout the day. 6, 7, 8 miles an hour throughout the day. Nothing of note there. Friday afternoon, there is a little bit of an increase in wind, but we're talking about going from 5 miles an hour to 9 miles an hour, 10 miles an hour. If you think that that is tangible, if you think that is a big enough gap, then probably Thursday morning, Friday afternoon would be your side. I'm unlikely to make any wave stacks. The other thing that I find more interesting is that this golf course is probably going to be pretty soft. It doesn't drain well in general. They've had rain this week. It is potentially raining right now, right? There's a chance of showers right now on Wednesday. It was already soft enough. I just don't know how this golf how this golf course dries out, especially because you're going to get some, you're not going to even get full sun on Thursday and Friday. And then there is a chance for scattered thunderstorms on Saturday, which would add a quarter inch of rain as well. So I think this is going to play pretty soft this week. I think fairways are going to play wider. I think that bombers are probably going to have even more of an edge just because of all of those things. I don't know if they will play preferred lies or not. If they do, that would help the accurate flushers, the guys who hit their second shots well, and accurate drivers of the golf ball. But we won't know that until officially know that until Thursday morning when this thing tees off. The other thing that we like to do at the beginning of the shows is look at the updated site-wide selections. This is from Office Football Pool, which it looks as if they have now rebranded this, which we knew, right? We knew. So Splash Sports, that's where we run our listener league, which actually is almost full. We'll get to that in a little bit. They acquired both Office Football Pool and Run Your Pool at least a year ago, I think, at this point, and started up Splash. And now it looks like they've gone back and rebranded Office Football Pool and Run Your Pool, which is interesting. That's cool. It's cool to see. So anyway, just surprised me at first when I logged in, but we're good. So here are the updated selection numbers. And there's kind of a big three here this week. It's Akshay Bhatia, it's Cameron Young, it's Tom Kim. The reason for that is these are the three best golfers in the field, the guys with basically the three shortest odds in an event where there is not a huge purse and it is a much weaker field. So the vast majority of everyone has these golfers left. They almost certainly all have Akshay left. I think Tom Kim's been used by maybe 9% of leagues. Cam Young has been used probably a little bit more than that, but very, very likely that you have 1, 2, or all three of these guys available to you. Then it drops off significantly with Taylor Pendrith, Steven Jagger, Minwoo Lee, 9, 6, and 6%. Ricky Fowler, Will Zalatoris, Robert McIntyre, and Aaron Rye, 5, 3, 3, and 3. So it does drop off pretty significantly. If you are front running, you're probably looking at using one of the big three. If not, you can go anywhere that you want. We'll show this right now. So this is the Pool Genius tool that I consulted on this past summer, and I show it every week and all that. So for me, and it knows who I've used. Like I've already used Maverick McNeely, I've used Eric Cole, I've used Jake Knapp, et cetera, et cetera. The sneaky option here is probably Minwoo, right? So Minwoo Lee is at 4.2% implied odds to win this golf tournament, which is higher than Akshay, higher than Taylor Pendrith, higher than Steven Jagger, and just behind Cam Young, a little bit less than Tom Kim. But his projected ownership is a third of Akshay's. So he has better odds to win at a third of the selected rate. If you were just crunching the numbers and just like if you had zero emotion and had no idea what any of these names were or who these guys were, and I just put this in front of you, you should probably be clicking Minwoo Lee's name. We'll talk more about those in just a second, I am sure. All right, let's jump into this. John is going to start us off with a one and done question of his own. He says, so I've used up all my big name guys except for Rory and JT. Should I use Tom Kim or Akshay here or hold one of them for the bigger payout events? I do not believe that you need to hold either Tom Kim or Akshay for a bigger payout. I understand that you only have Rory and JT left, but I mean, maybe you hold Tom Kim. If I were you, I would just play Akshay, right? You're getting one of the big three. Tom Kim has shown a little bit of life in major championships, maybe playing with the Scottish Open or something like that, and he's trending in the right direction, and it feels a little bit sustainable to me. So I think you go Akshay there. Garrett says, ready for the Rickett mortgage. That's right. Can you show the DFS ownership and the favorite low owned pivots from each range? Yes. So I'll go to my website. It's rickrungood.com. It looks like this. I love it. I think you'll love it too. Here's the cheat sheet. So if we look at the updated ownership here, the big four, the four golfers over 10K, Tom Kim getting a lot of play here, 38% in terms of projected ownership. The other three are between 26 and 29%. So not a huge pivot there. But again, I think if you are looking to be as smart as possible about this data-wise, you go to Minwoo. That would be the pivot. He is the lowest owned of the 4K of the $10,000 guys, and has, the third best odds to win, something like that. So he would be the pivot, though I don't think there's a huge leverage spot. The 9K range is a ton of Akshay, a little bit of Steven Jagger, and then everybody else behind. Little surprised not to see Taylor Pendrith more. He's coming in about 20%. It's still a lot, but not compared to Akshay and even Steven Jagger. I like Maverick McNeely as well. That's probably my favorite. I'm sorry, McNeely's in the 8K range, so I probably should not jump down there. But it would be Pendrith there. I'll stay away from Ricky Fowler. I'll stay away from Will Zalatoris for now. The 8K range, that is McNeely leading the way at 21%. I think that you could conceivably pivot to either Robert McIntyre or Keith Mitchell. Keith Mitchell grades out fairly well for this golf course. He's got a lot of things going in his direction. He's $8,500 and is going to be owned about 13%. If you did want to do a skill set pivot, Ryan Fox would be that guy, right? Ryan Fox is very similar to Taylor Pendrith. He's going to hit it far. He's going to try to dial in his wedges. He's going to try to make a lot of birdies. That would be interesting. He's going to be 8% owned. Michael Thorbjornsen, he's just a talent play. We don't know a lot about the kid right now. He did make the cut and finished 39th at the there was no cut, but he finished 39th at the Travelers. He's 7%. This is going to be a much weaker field. He actually played great except for, I think, Sunday, or he had one round where he punted it all away. He was very good. Besides that, Eric Van Rooyen is 15% owned in the 7K range. Taylor Moore is 10% owned. I love Taylor Moore's game. I cannot really get behind that this week. Matt Wallace is a pretty good pivot at 4%. He's coming in with a lot of really good finishes as of late. And Hubbard's been fairly consistent. He's 7%. 6K range, Doug Gim, 8%. Johnny Vegas, 6%. Those are probably your most owned. Here's what I'm doing below 7K. I am going with some of these real deep dart throws here. Alejandro Tosti, 1.4%. I like Jake Knapp is growing on me as the week goes on, 4.2%. I would also go with I'm actually down, like getting close to the 5K range now. There is, where are you? Where's my guy here? Willie Mack is 5,000. I'll talk about Willie Mack in a second, but there's someone else that I cannot remember and I cannot find. Hold on a second. Now this is going to drive me insane. I know I entered him into a single entry lineup. Why can I not remember his stinking name? Luke, Clayton, Compton, Clayton. Wow, I'm like my brain is fried right now. Clanton, I think his name is. Uh, that's the other guy. Boy, we are off to a roaring start. Can we run a model here? Yes, we can. So this is going to be Jonathan's model. Okay, so custom model, rickrungood.com. Let's roll with it here. We've got 20 on last 36 weighted strokes gained total. All right, so weighted strokes gained total, 20. Driving distance, 20. Last 36 approaches. Okay. Buckets. So he wants buckets below 175. So what we'll do is we'll do 8, 16, 24, 30. Okay. Or, he only wanted 20. 6, 12, 18, 20. Last 36 strokes gained putting. We can do that for 20. And birdie or better percentages for the final 20. So this is going to be Jonathan's model. Taylor Pendrith 1, Akshay 2, EVR, Ryan Fox, Tom Kim, Jacob Bridgman, Cam Young, Chandler Phillips, SH Kim, Keith Mitchell. First in my one and done, Tom Kim, Batia, or Minwoo. It's Akshay for me, but they're all very close. Greetings, Rick. Was Denver as high as they say? We love Denver. Yeah, Denver was great. We were there for a wedding, but we extended it on both ends, and I played a lot of golf. We ate some pizza. We checked some stuff out. It was very, very good. Went to a Rockies game. 2 upper end guys modeling well for me. Ben Griffin and Mark Hubbard. Okay, so let's deep dive Ben Griffin real quick, because he shows up, and he even shows up here in Jonathan's model as well. He showed up in almost all of my models. It was like, no matter what I did, it was the Ben Griffin show. And what the good thing about him is that when he plays well, he plays really well, right? He's got a bunch of top 16 finishes. He finished runner-up at the Canadian Open. When he gets it going, he's a very good second shot player and a hot putter. He has lost the putting over his last 2 starts, but you expect that to bounce back because he's generally a very good putter. And I think it's fair to say he can turn that around. So he modeled out well for me in a lot of different situations. I don't know if he's ever played this event. He has. He finished 33rd in 2023. That was last year. So that's the one that keeps popping up on my list here. Question 1. Okay, 5 DraftKings GPPs, low stakes, total entries, 3 to 4K each. 10. Okay, got it. Question 1, 10 golfer pool about right? Yeah, you could probably get to 12. And then starting with Akshay up top. Yes, I think it's either Akshay or Minwoo, I think, are probably my favorite ways to do that. Tied for 10th in a 200-person one and done, where only top 15 from each event get points. Oh, sick. I love that, actually. Would you go with chalk and take Akshay, or a safer and less volatile option like Rye? I think you're okay to go with Akshay, right? He has been incredible. I'm not sure people realize this. The results, 60th, 22nd, 16th, 5th. That's his last 4. He's trending right. This is a golf course where he can be a little wild off the tee, which is fine. He's long enough. That's fine. And he is a master wedger, and then he putts well. So yeah, like I think it's Akshay. Rick, it appears that Detroit Golf Club is bomb and gouge with minimal stickiness. Yeah, sure, I'd agree with that. Would Jake Knapp be a better choice than Michael Kim or Mac Meisner? I like Mac. I will say that. The Knapp thing is worrisome because it's not just a skill set deficiency. It's like everything's wrong. He can't putt. He coughs it up around the green. His second shots haven't been great. He's losing strokes off the tee despite being one of the longest players on the PGA Tour in effortless power. This is horrifying, right? Even if he drives it well, can he make enough putts? I just really find it hard to believe that he's going to give us the stat profile that he gave us to Byron Nelson. Sorry, taking a little drink here. We're getting work done on, we have a refrigerator problem and they're coming today. So we had to defrost it. So like our fridges and freezers, like I'm like, we're like drinking out of like a cooler of whatever. So, Lee Hodges hasn't missed the cut since the Masters. I'm not counting the Zurich because that's a team event. Tee to green numbers are positive. Putting numbers are positive. Let's look at the history. Missed the cut here last year, though it wasn't horrible. 44th in 2022. He's $7,100. So you are getting down into that kind of dead zone of guys that I like. And you look at his recent pricing, he's cheaper than he was at the Charles Schwab, only slightly more expensive than he was at the Travelers Championship and the Memorial. And this is going to be a much weaker field than that. Okay, I could get behind this. I'm not sure he's the greatest fit because he's accurate and he is not very good with his wedges, which is kind of the opposite of what we're looking for here. Boy, actually, if you'd make me take a stand, I would be out like 4 out of 10, right? If 5 is average, I'd be on the wrong side of average. Punt plays. Currently looking at Pearson Coody, Trace Crow, and David Skinners. Let's look at Trace Crow here because this could be a decent spot for him. 40. So he's been playing a little bit on the Korn Ferry and the PGA. So he finished T27 at the Canadian Open. I believe he Monday queued into that. Don't quote me on that, but he might have Monday queued into that event. But he finished T27. Was great from fairway through green, but he's usually a better driver of the ball. Played well in Punta Cana. You're in a similar type field there. I want to look at. I don't know how much we have on him here. Okay, we've got a decent bit. God, he is very bad off the tee. He's not accurate, nor is he long. Pretty good inside of 175, however. That's probably my favorite of the 3. I'd rock that way. Noren, McNeely, Moore, Dunlap, Hostler, or Knapp. Who is the least likely to make the top 20? And who do you think is most likely to be first-round leader? Well, all right. These always come back to make you look silly, especially because this guy's got good history here. But Taylor Moore's stat profile is about as bad as it gets. And it has been for 5 starts or so. So he's lost 22 strokes to the field since the PGA Championship. That's 4 starts, and he's missed the cut in 3 of them, and the other one, there was no cut. So he has played the minimum number of rounds and has coughed it up in a big way each and every single week that he's played. That's horrifying, and he's doing it throughout the bag. So he's probably the one that is least likely to make the top 20. Most likely to be first-round leader, McNeely, probably. I think he might be the best. Him or Noren are just the best player here. And McNeely does it in a fashion which piles up birdies. Like he could conceivably gain 3.5 strokes putting in a single round. He could conceivably gain 2 with the approach play, right? He could do it in a very high upside fashion. So I think that he is probably the answer to that. Thoughts on DraftKings giving us the 5K range this week with no Scotty, Rory, etc. Yeah, I think there's a lot of really good options, right? I mean, you're getting a ton of golfers in the 5K range that a lot of them are going to make the cut. And I think that for our purposes, we will do a better job of picking out these guys than most people will. So I'm okay with this. Josh says, I'm still in 5th and not necessarily worried about following the chalk this week. Pick me a winner for one and done. Akshay with current form. Jagger, if you're in 5th and you're not worried about chalk, you probably just have to play Akshay. That's the thing here. Could you run a model? This is Garrett's model. Last 24 rounds, minimal amount on distance off the tee, but focused on good wedge players, opportunities gained, and bonus putting. So this is pretty much up to me. So let's clear the weights out. And we are going to do a minimal amount on distance off the tee. Okay. So 10. I don't know what a minimal amount is. But focused on good wedge players. So whatever buckets that I think that is. So let's do this. Let's do 10 on greens in regulation, 10 on 75 to 100, 100 to 125, 125 to 150. He also wants opportunities gained, which is another approach stat. So let's do 20 there. And then bonus putting, which is, I love bonus putting. This is Garrett's model. Ryan Fox, Michael Kim, Pearson Coody, Ben Griffin, Jacob Bridgman, Justin Lauer, Mac Meisner, Andrew Novak, Chan Kim, Charlie Hoffman. Yeah, it is the Rocket Mortgage. Signed up for your website last week. Great work on it. It's pretty amazing. Thank you. What are your thoughts on Kevin Yu? Seems like he just putts okay. Whoa. Oh, if he just putts okay. Yes. Yeah. Well, you've found the profile, right? You have found the guy where you say all he has to do is putt to a 0. It's all he has to do. It's all he has to do. Just never does it. You know, he did it at Myrtle Beach. Kind of did it at the Cognizant. You know, he might do it 4 times a year, and they are impossible to guess. They are impossible to find. So if you are willing to take on this risk, that's great. If that's what you're looking for, he's incredibly on brand because he does the same thing every single week. But yeah, I mean, he needs to be a 0 with the putter. It's very, very difficult for him to do. Is Michael Thorbjornsen a good fit? I think it's probably too early to tell. He is an incredibly talented player. It says, what do you think his potential is moving forward? He's not going to have the immediate success that like Ludwig and Colin and Victor and Matt Young have had. But I think he's going to be a great player. You know, the college game is so talented right now, and he won the PGA Tour U. He's going to be very inconsistent, right? You see it in the Travelers Championship. He loses 3.5 strokes in round 1. He gains 4 in round 2. It's a 7.5 shot difference. Gains 1 in round 3, loses 3 in round 4. So just bouncing all over the place. He's going to be a very good showdown play for a while until we start getting some more 4-round performances out of him. I think Wallace will be an under the radar guy. I'm assuming we're talking about Matt Wallace here. He's playing some pretty good golf. Thoughts on him this week? Yeah, he was quite popular. Was that last week when he played the KLM? Yeah, there it is. I had it sorted the wrong direction. KLM, he finished T15, and I think he got off to a slow start, didn't he? Yeah, he gained. Oh, no, he finished poorly. I was thinking about it backwards. Finished T15 at the KLM, finished T27 at the Canadian Open. He's got a bunch of top 25s in his last 5 starts. His worst finish was a T43, and that was the PGA Championship. He might be 7,400. Yeah, no, he's pretty criminally mispriced, right? How is this field? Actually, do we know yet? This is going to be sick. Give me 1 second. This field cannot be that much worse than the KLM Open is. So last week's KLM Open was a 104 field rating, strength of field. This week's Rocket Mortgage is a 237. He goes from $10,000 to $7,400 after playing well. That's a pretty bad misprice, I think. Who brought up Matt Wallace? Austin might have found us the guy here. 4% projected ownership, $7,400, 4 top 25s in his last 5. The only one that wasn't was a T43 at the PGA Championship, gaining throughout the bag. Does he have history here? Yeah, he's never missed a cut. 78th last year, that was not very good. He had 1 really miserable round and punted his stats away on Saturday. T10 in 2020, T12 in T10 in 2022, T12 in 2020. Austin, good job, buddy. I'm now going to go bet on Matt Wallace. That is a very good call, my friend. Can we do a deep dive on Ryan Fox? So I kind of already did this a little bit. He is going to be your skill set golfer. It is bomb. It is gouge. It is try to make enough putts. Finished 56th at the U.S. Open. He finished T7 at the Canadian Open. He hasn't missed a cut since the Byron Nelson. For a big guy, big strong guy, it's all about the shortest and the longest club in his bag. Hits it a mile with the driver. Actually putts quite well. Has to just be +1, +2 on those second shots, and I think you're going to see some good stuff from Ryan Fox. The good news is he's quite tidy inside 150 yards, as you can imagine, because he's hitting pretty short clubs in there. So that would be, he's like your cheaper, poor man's Taylor Pendrith, for example. Hey, Rick, front running my one and done have basically everybody except Cam Young, leaning Pendrith. Do you find anybody to be more safe? Well, we could do it this way, right? We could go to the power rankings. Let's go to strokes gain distribution. Who gains 2 or more strokes most frequently? Noren does it a lot, but has little upside. Tom Kim does it a bit. He's got a little more upside. Minwoo Lee, all over the place. Quite wild. I would say I wouldn't mind you playing Noren. I wouldn't mind you playing Pendrith either, but Noren or Pendrith? Pendrith is here, which isn't bad either. He's like second to Alex Noren. Both are fine. Hey, Megamind Ricky, who are you feeling on this short course between Svensson, Keith Mitchell, and Bobby Mack? I think it's Bobby Mack. We've done a lot of conversations around Robert McIntyre as of late, and I think it's well deserved. You know, he's clearly starting to find his game, and he's starting to play much better and much more consistently. You know, he wins at the Canadian Open. He misses the cut at the US Open, but it wasn't horrible. And then he finished T16 last week. He's got to get, sometimes, you know, it's a good sign that you can lose 4.5 strokes on approach and still finish T16. He's a little too reliant on the short game, but when you have positive ball striking weeks and 4 out of your last 6, I think you can get away with it. So that's good. Hey, Rick, who would be a great first round leader? I think we go right back to Akshay here, right? I think that's probably the play. Can we trust Noren again or stay away? No, I think Noren's great. So what you're going to have is, dude just never makes any bogeys. He's going to have to make more birdies, but he's a very good putter. He's going to find the fairway often. I think Noren is absolutely just fine. If you had to choose between Tom Kim, Jake Knapp, Kim and Knapp, or Batia and Walls. Could you start with your wife's pick, please? We need to lock in that guarantee moneymaker. Yeah, she is on an absolute, it's not even a heater. She's just very good at this. Armina, your pick of the week, and she has
Davis Thompson.
Wow. If you couldn't hear that, she said Davis Thompson, which is concerning because I like Davis Thompson a lot.
No.
I know. And she just found that out. But she has said Davis Thompson. It's getting tight at the top of the run and done. This is my first time participating. What do you think ends up? Oh, tough to say. Asking about the final tally. I don't know. I honestly don't. I mean, this season this year is absolutely nuts with all the big purses and everything. So you could tell me any amount of money and I'd be fine with it. Any chance to see how these guys play in easier fields? Yeah. So go to the Holy Grail. Go to strokes gained by tournament, expand the filters, and then change strength of field plus to like 100 or below. Or 99 or below. Let's see what this pops out. How many starts do we have for some of these guys? Let's go to a little bit like, let's do 150. There you go. Okay. Minwoo, let's see what this pops up here. Yeah. Minwoo kind of crushes these events. Now, all of his weaker field events have been European or Asian tour events. He has not played in the last 2 years, qualifying weak field event on the PGA Tour, but he's getting 2.6 strokes per round in 40 rounds. Stuart Sink, his are probably all senior tour. They are. Akshay does well, 54 rounds, 1.8 strokes gained per round. Bo Hostler, Thorbjorn Olsen, Patrick Rogers. Rick, the free content you give has to be unmatched. Thank you. And your ability to make a plan and stick to it is inspiring. What's the best vehicle for making money with your data DFS, FanDuel, Splash, etc. Well, it's a great question. I could probably talk about it for 9 or 10 hours. I think that there is kind of a natural, I think we all kind of have a natural way that our brain works that I think is better than others. I find that finding those diamonds in the rough, finding undervalued, using a little bit of game theory is my favorite and the thing that I think I have an edge in. I do very, very well on basically long shots to finish inside the top 10, right? If you went and broke down everything that I do, that's probably the thing I print on the most. And you get guys that are 3.5 to 1, 4 to 1, 5 to 1, or whatever. And that not needing to win, but to go out and significantly outperform expectations is one way. That might not be the same for you. You might have a better feel for the matchups, for example, or something like that. Now, if you want to, the data, how you could use the data, I think the data is better used in some of the shorter and smaller sample sizes, right? So whether that is showdown, whether it is course fit stuff, whether it is round by round bets, those are where I think the data really shines. And then as we are now getting into the world of, Underdog becoming much more popular, Splash is going to seemingly has a bunch of different formats now and coming out with more. One and done's is probably the most because that's continuing to grow like crazy. And like, there's going to be there's going to be like millions and millions of dollars in one and done's next year. Probably was this year. And there's going to be a lot next year as well. Speaking of, it's a pretty good time to jump into a couple of things. So before I forget, the Splash Listeners League is almost full. Last time I checked, let's see what we're at now. Yeah, there's only 60 spots left, and have not put mine in yet. So I'll just throw one in real quick just so you can see how this works. It's $20 an entry. You pick one out of 6 tiers, and it's fully guaranteed for $5,400. That means it's every time we fill it, and they make it bigger, and it's great, and it continues to be guaranteed. Really good relationship with them. Tier 1's kind of interesting. So you've got the big 4, and then you've got a couple of guys that I love, like Davis Thompson, Mav McNeely, Taylor Pendrith. This is like the most difficult tier 1 I've ever seen. We don't just have Scotty to carry us anymore. Let's go with 300 people. We'll avoid the big 3, and we'll do Davis Thompson. That's for me. Now, tier 2. Now, see, Matt Wallace is a lot more quote expensive here than he is in DFS. Tier 2, that's a pretty big thing to consider. So I think we're going Jagger here, who's played great golf, and I don't think many people are going to have him. Tier 3, Patrick Rogers, Sam Stevens, Chris Kirk, Ricky Fowler, Doug Gim, Michael Kim, Nikolai, Fox, Hisatsune, and Olesen. We'll go Fox, but I would not have minded Sam Stevens. Here is tier 4. Oh boy. Will enough people go Burger to matter? Let's do Burger. Tier 5. There's my guy, Luke Clanton. We'll take Luke. And then tier 6 should be everybody else in the field. So we will then take a flyer on Ben James wouldn't be bad. Trace Crow, Nick Dunlap wouldn't be bad. How deep do I want to go here? Cam Davis. Cam Davis in tier 6 is a little dirty. Let's do. I almost fell for it and clicked it. All right, let's do Cam Davis. That's a little too low. So that's all you do. You pick it and you're in. There's a link in the description. Additionally, let's see what we can find on Underdog. We will now enter the Underdog portion of the show. There it is. That's my wife woofing in the background. Real quick. So here's the freebie, right? So who is this? Alex Pereira, some UFC match. As soon as he lands one strike, you win this. So that's the free one. Let's pair it with something Otani related. Otani to score a run. I bet you the max is $10. It is. But so basically 10 to return 22 if Otani scores a run tonight. Oh, God. I got to refresh it. It always wants me to refresh my thing. Let's try that again. Whoops. Got to log in. Stand by. Okay, there we go. All right. So Otani to score a run for 22 tonight. And then I assume Pereira is going to get one strike later. All right. So PGA. So I was looking through these. I believe that there are a couple of so this golf course it's a par 72. So 67.5 for Tom Kim. He's got to get to that's 5 under in round number 1. The ones that I really liked. Do we still have no? Yeah, here we go. Alex Noren, bogeys or worse, lower than 1.5. Talks about how he doesn't make many bogeys. McNeely, I think it was 4.5 birdies or better. Now it's 5. That's a little bit more difficult to get to. Do we have anybody with 4.5 birdies? There's another 5 on Keith Mitchell. Yeah, some of these have moved a bit. What's Hubs at? 5. Ben Griffin, top 20 finish at 1.5x. Yes. If you go to the rivals, you will also see. I wanted to run one of these. Let's run Tom Kim versus Cam Young here. So Tom Kim versus Cam Young in the matchup, head-to-head matchup tool is 52% in favor of Tom Kim if you use the last 50 rounds. If you use the last 36 rounds, Tom Kim is significantly better, 67% to win that matchup. So we're going to throw Tom Kim in there. So we've got Alex Noren, lower than 1.5 bogeys, Ben Griffin to finish inside the top 20. That's after the entire event. And then Tom Kim to beat Cam Young in round number 1. That alone is an 8.1x return. We could stop there. It would probably be prudent to stop there. Can we pick on Rick? Hashtag pick on Rick with Taylor Pendrith and get this thing to a 13.5x. We'll take Pendrith over Fowler. Will they let you stack? No, they won't let you stack against Ricky. Okay. So that we could do that, right? So if you put $10 in to return 135 on those 4, Noren lower than 1.5 bogeys, Griffin top 20 finish, Tom Kim to beat Cam Young, Pendrith to beat Ricky Fowler. Interesting. Okay. If you want to tail that or fade it, go right ahead. Links in the description. Code is Rick. They're up to a $250 deposit match right now. They are doing a promos every single day with freebies, basically. So free $10 on one of your legs every single day. Also, I don't know if they are doing rake back now. So if you are a big best ball player, it doesn't matter what sport. If you're a big best ball player, depending on how many entries you get in, they are starting to give rake back, which is unheard of in this industry and has been for a long time, which I thought was pretty cool. All right, let's see what else we got. I saw Miles Russell play at the Northeast Amateur. I don't think people actually understand how good he is. I believe he's going to make the cut this week. Thoughts on this young phenom? He's incredible. Yes, he is. It's weird, right? He's kind of like, I don't know what he is, 15 years old. So I guess he's kind of scrawny, but he never misses the center of the club face. And he seems to have a very, very good, even keel head on his shoulders. And I like that. Quick fire. Hubbard versus Shank. Hubbard. And Davis Riley versus Pearson. Davis. Hey, do you think Shipley can put a solid performance together? I do. Hey, Rick, looking forward to you replacing some of the old heads on the Golf Channel one day. That would be nice. I don't know if it'll happen. First in the one and done, who would you use? Also, can you show me? Okay, we did that. We did Matt Wallace. Good job. All right. It's time for the Jagger deep dive. This was a little bit surprising to me. Because remember how popular he was right around and leading into the Houston Open win? And then he continued to play well and nobody cared. Right? So since his win, he has 1, 2, 3, 4 more top 25 finishes, including the US Open. And a T31 at the Travelers in which he gained 5.2 strokes ball striking. So the question is, why won't he win? The answer to that question specifically is that he does not putt well enough. He's lost strokes putting in 4 straight and 7 of his last 8. This, you are going to need to putt the lights out. You're going to need to make a lot of birdies here. And you can see that because the last 2 years that he's played this event, he's finished 9th and 5th. He's gained nearly 8 strokes putting. So he knows you've got to putt the lights out. Maybe this is just saying, hey, he knows these greens. He can figure out these greens and he will putt well here. That would be nice. I don't know if it's actually true, but that would be quite nice. Thoughts on Gary Woodland? I noticed he showed up at number 12 in your model. Yeah, he shows up a lot in models that you do a lot of ball striking, right? That's the Gary Woodland model. Anything that we get ball striking engagement. Although he proves me wrong because he's been stinky on approach and very good with the putt. Wow, he's gained putting in 5 straight after losing a ton in 7 in a row. Can we marry these? How do we marry these? What has he done here? 3 straight missed cuts. Man, I'm out on Woodland, but if we could get some sense of these two things coming together, I'd be interested in the future. Bo Hostler, that's a name we haven't seen in a while or talked about in a while. Sneaky long, sneaky good wedge player, very good putter. So before his stats even show up, I could get behind this. The results aren't great. They're not horrible. I mean, he's kind of getting smoked at some of the better events, but he's crushing the weaker fields. This is what you need. 75 to 150 yards. Just let Bo cook. Okay. And then see how many putts he can make because he's like a top 10 putter on the PGA Tour. Don't mind that one single bit. If anything has changed since Monday, run 50 lineups and show people how to export them. Old optimizer had an export button. Oh, yeah. So still does. So run your lineups, right? So do 20 lineups, click build lineups. And then when these are done, maybe I don't know if I can get my head out of the way. Hold on a second.
Do you want to just move your head?
Wait, I can move it. There we go. There's a download button right here. So you click download. If you can't see that, try like zooming out on your browser or something, but it's right there in the top right corner. It's right there. Talks about him. That's good. Can you give me one player under 8,300 for a first round pick? Yes. The best Davis Thompson. But if you don't want Davis Thompson, Ryan Fox would be nice. Minwoo, Pendrith, Moore, or Rye for one and done, 5 million back. If you are 5 million back, you probably cannot play Minwoo. Oh, I'm sorry. You can play Minwoo because he's like 6%. If you're at 5 million back, you probably have to play Minwoo or Pendrith. Those are the only two options. Who is going to win the Italian Open? So if you go to, by the way, Italian Open, Memorial Health Championship, U.S. Senior Open Championship, Rocket Mortgage Round 1, all loaded into the website, rickrungood.com. Who is going to win the Italian Open? I'm going to go with Tom McKibben was my first thought, but I'm cooling on that. What about Laurie Cantor? He won the European Open, finished 38th at the KLM. I'll pull up his stat profile. He had a runner-up finish here in 2020. It's not a lot of guys with a lot of great history here that are some of the favorites. Isn't that interesting? Here's Laurie Cantor's stat profile. Yes, I have the live stuff. Yes, I have the European Tour stuff. Yes, I have the PGA Tour. Yes, I do. Look at the ball striking numbers. 10.5 at both the European Open and the Sodal Open. One of those led to victory. He's got a bunch of top finishes. All right, Laurie Cantor to win the Italian Open. I did tell a story on the first cut that I've been texting with someone since February and I don't know who it is. How did that end, or is it still going on? It's still going on. I don't know who it is. So when I mentioned that, when I mentioned it, I guess the person doesn't watch the first cut because they did not reveal themselves. So I've been in a text conversation with someone since February that I do not know who it is. That's all just like very generic stuff, obviously, but they know who I am, and it's about like it's like golf Rick stuff, like. But I'm in way too deep to ask and find out. It is just, it's horrible. I'm ashamed. I should have put an end to this a long time ago. I did not. I'm an idiot. Who's your favorite player to watch this week? Ooh, my favorite player to watch. Minwoo is awesome. If you ever get a chance to follow Minwoo around, it is awesome. I've told this story before, but he hit this shot at Oak Hill where he was in the left rough on 4, I think. And he had to hit a punchy wedge underneath one tree, up over the next. And he was outside the rope line. So everybody was standing there. The thump that his club, you could feel it in your feet, which is very unusual. He pulled it off. He is so cool, so strong. I think Minwoo is probably the guy. Hey, Rick, will you be previewing the field for the Olympics as they get closer? Yes, of course I will. Sorry, I got distracted. Say again.
Can I ask a question?
Armina's going to ask a question.
Can we do a Patrick Rogers deep dive?
Yeah. She said, can we do a Patrick Rogers deep dive? So for those who are wondering, she was going to pick Patrick Rogers, and then she switched to Davis Thompson. And I'm pretty sure the last time that she switched, she should not have. But let's do the Patrick Rogers deep dive. So feast or famine, played well at Harbor Town, played well at the Travelers. Not a lot of great stuff in between, a couple of missed cuts, but those were big time events. The concern here is, like, what is he good at, right? He had a 12-shot difference between his last 2 putting performances. That's kind of scary. When he putts, he does putt well. He's gained 6 strokes putting in 2 of his last 6, but he's capable of losing the same. His approach play has been awful. The driver's generally pretty good, but like he's not consistently good at anything. He's just all over the yard. I bet you he has pretty decent finishes here, because I don't think Armina would have been. Yeah. So 3 finishes in the 40s. He's never missed a cut. Hasn't played here since 2020. I just find it pretty uninspiring is what I see. No problem. Oh, this is kind of interesting. So I don't know if this is actionable, but I'll answer his question. So Tyler says, golfers that have been successful with the putter on Donald Ross courses. I mean, it's incredibly specific but sure, let's do it. Oh, I gotta wipe this out and then do Donald Ross. Where are you, Don? There you are. And we'll do back to what? 2020 is kind of usually what I go back to. And then sort it by strokes gained putting for everybody in this field. Bud Cauley. No, guys that have a decent bit of at least 20 rounds. Taylor Moore, Roger Sloan, Vince Whaley, Chesson Hadley, Kisner Pendrith would be the others. Should I be saving Xander or Rory for Eastlake? 35% payout, about $6 million to the winner. Yeah, you absolutely should be. Don't follow this unless you hate money. like I do. Actually, that's not true. I nailed Scotty last week, which was just I had Scotty and Akshay last week, and of course, like Scotty's so sick. So don't follow this. Akshay at 20-1. Davis Thompson at 33-1. Sam Stevens at 70-1. And now I'm going to go add Matthew Wallace. What number can I get on Matthew Wallace? Rocket Mortgage Classic. I'm on my other screen, obviously, for those who are wondering. Wallace. 50. I'm in for 50. This is only my second season watching golf. US Open Pinehurst was, oh, okay. Insane greens. Are there any other US courses with these types of greens? They're very incredibly unique. I would not compare them to anything else. What pizza places did you end up in Denver? All right. So we went to Via 313, which had this delicious Detroit style, but Mina had a thin bar style. That they were both great. We went to Marco's Coal Fire twice. That was quite good as well, but more a nice fusion between like an Italian style, like if you were in Italy, and an American toppings, so to speak.
It's like a New York style.
Yeah, but it was a little thinner than New York, I thought.
Yeah.
And I thought the crust, the dough was very Italian, but then the toppings were very American. Is the way that I would describe that. And then I had a pizza at the Rockies game, which I think was it a place called Dough House or Dough? Do you remember? Something like that. It was all very good. I've answered a lot of these, which is very, very nice. I'm 5th in a 70-man one and done. Do I take Tom Kim? You do. Is there a player on the Korn Ferry Tour who you are most looking forward to playing this week? Well, there are guys that kind of bounce back and forth, so I don't know if that would count. What about? I mean, Trace Crow, we talked about him already, right? Trying to see who else would be. Let's see what Wilson Furr's been up to. 31st in Wichita, missed his last 4 cuts besides that. Let's see what. Oh, by the way, if you want a real dart throw, Willie Mack is playing great golf right now. Qualified for the US Open, won an APGA event. He won the John Shippen to get into this event. He's vibing right now. Hey, Rick, heard on the first cut that you're coming down to Australia later this year. That's right. And playing Royal Melbourne. Did I say that right, Mitch? Can hook you up with a few rounds on the Sandbelt at Kingston, Victoria, and the National. Mitch, I love you, buddy. Let's be friends. No, seriously, I've had a lot of great outreach. People have been so sweet. The Aussies have been great to me. And I've had a couple of people reach out and say how I'm a member at so-and-so. Let's get you on. I'm very, very grateful for that. I am probably completely booked up on golf. I know I worked Mina hard. I said, listen, let me play every day. I don't think that's going to fly. So I'm probably booked up, but Mitch, if you want to shoot me an email, that'd be great. And maybe we can at least grab a beer or something. And I can ask you a couple of questions and all that fun stuff. But yeah, shoot me an email. It's rick@rickrungood.com. Custom model value calculation question. Oh, it's a 2-part question. Hold on. I got to find the other. Okay. In strong fields, I use a very basic 5 to 6 categories in my model, and Scotty X, etc., are in the high 90s. Weeks like this, I get a little funky, and I use 10 categories, and my values are maxed out at 80. Yes. Too many categories this week, too few and big ones. Your overall thoughts on value calculations. All right. So what Brent is talking about. It's a very good thought process and idea here. So he's talking about this column right here, value, which is entirely dependent on your inputs. So 100 value would be the best golfer in all of your, you'd be the number one golfer in all these. So when you see this loaded in at first and all your weights are on one golfer, somebody will be 100 because there will be a golfer at the top. The more that you do, the less likely it is that you are the best golfer in each one. But what I care more about, Brent, is the gap between the golfers. So for example, in this model, Ryan Fox is an 89, which is not elite or anything like that compared to, weeks where Scotty's like a 97, but he has a 7-point gap to Michael Kim, who then only has a 2-point gap to Pearson Coody, who is barely ahead of Ben Griffin, right? So I like to look at that even more, but you're right. The more categories or stats that you use, the less likely it is that someone's going to be ranked very, very highly, but I like to look at the gap and use it for references. Do you know Juice Luton? Yeah, he's in the news right now because he's getting the Dutch won't send him to the Olympics. It's fairly crazy. He finished 15th at the KLM. Gained 12.8 strokes ball striking. The idea that this guy is not going to the Olympics because they don't think he has a chance of medaling is literally bonkers. It's insane. The Dutch have screwed this one up. Sorry to all my Dutch friends. I do not think this is a spot for Zalatoris to get back on track. This is going to be a birdie fest putting contest for a guy who is not striking it well and looks all out of whack. So doesn't feel great. Not hearing any talk on Davis Thompson. Why? Because your ears aren't open. I've been talking about Davis Thompson. Is the word excessively? For like 8 weeks. Everyone's ready to just slap me in the face. This tournament just feels like someone that no one is thinking of will win, probably. Sorry, we're at the point where we have to go for the fridge guy, but I want to make sure I haven't missed anything. Super good. A lot of these, we've talked about a lot of these guys already. Willie Mack is the best 5K guy you can get.
They're not all.
Can we have a custom model option for larger approach buckets? This week, I'd love to have 50 to 125. Is that an easy addition? Kind of. It's easier for you to, you should be able to do this yourself, right? So 50 to 125. And somebody always asks me about like ball striking. Well, if you just do an off the tee end approach, that is ball striking. So if you did, say you wanted to put 24 on 50 to 125, you could just do 8 on 50 to 75, 8 on 75 to 100, 8 on 100 to 125. But I'll look into that for you. If you could only play one golf hole over and over for the rest of your life, what hole would that be? The 10th at Riviera. Okay. Ben James. Do I have him in here as Benjamin James or Ben James? I guess the search finds him either way. So not a lot because he's a tour pro, right? Or he open qualified for the US Open. I think he's a teaching pro somewhere. Missed the cut at the US Open, missed the cut at last year's Travelers, missed the cut at the Travelers the year before that. So he's gotten into the Travelers via probably sponsors invites because I think he's a Hartford or Cromwell local pro. So we got three 3 rounds on him. He actually gained strokes at the US Open, or 3 events. He gained strokes at the US Open, but missed the cut on the number. He's very, very talented. I would not, if you wanted to play him over Willie Mack at 5,000, I'd be okay with that. Rick Rungood just signed back up for the website. Should have never have left. Thank you. Appreciate that.
How about this one?
Okay. What time was that at?
I'll just hit it.
Okay. Armina's going to run this question. It says, hey, Rick, who is the golfer behind you in the orange shirts and white pants? That is Ram. Yes, correct. At which tournament and why this pick? So this was at Phoenix 2023. That's me. Armina's pointing at me in the background. And also to my right is Joe Musso. So we were walking with the Ram group. So it was just a cool shot that Joe actually knew the photographer, and the photographer sent us this photo, and Mina had it blown up and put on that canvas, and we used it for a just a nice office piece there. I think it's a really cool shot. Yeah. Yeah, you know what? I'll tell you what. I have 150. I've been trying. It says, I know you're not a 150 guy, but what would your strategy be if you did? So I've actually been tinkering with something and throwing 150 lineups in the mini max just to be able to see and kind of track it. So long story short, creating a lot more randomness and volatility, trying to be a little bit different with some of the salary ranges. I'll collect the data. I'm kind of in data collection mode right now. Can we talk about Bryson not being on the Olympics team because of Liv not getting world golf points? Yeah, listen, I mean, you can blame Liv, you can blame the OWGR, you can blame USA Golf, you can blame them all because they're all at fault here. The US Golf did not have to use the official world golf rankings for their ranking systems. That's not a rule. US Golf can send whoever the hell they want for any criteria that they want. So yeah, everybody's wrong here. It's also a problem with golf in general because a lot of these sports have, you know, like what's on right now on qualifying, right? Like track and field. If you go and you win the race or finish inside the top 3, you're on the team. And they do it, you know, 3 weeks before the Olympics starts. The golf situation is it's just a year-long, 2-year-long qualification process. So you're going to get guys like Wyndham Clark who played great for a year, have stunk and are still up there. And because of the OWGR, so it stinks. I think they should do, you know, 36 holes or something. If you are inside the top 4, you go, or inside the top 3, you go. I don't know. Golf's a weird sport. I would love to get to the Memorial. Have not been yet. I'm pretty high on Keith Mitchell. I think this is a decent spot for him. He modeled really well for me quite a bit. Oops, I'm not sharing my screen. Let's do that. He modeled pretty well for me. I mean, you're starting to see a little bit more well-rounded. I like to see the putter popping up. He's a great driver. T10 at the Canadian Open. He modeled like a Met. He has not lost strokes off the tee since the 2023 Sanderson Farms. So he modeled really, really well for me. We have to go because the fridge people are coming to fix our fridge, which is very important. So here's what I will tell you. Go sign up for rickrungood.com. I love it. You'll love it. If you don't, I'll make it right. Underdog's got the good promos going on right now, as they always do. Let's support them. Let's fill that splash contest. And otherwise, I will see you later.